Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're tackling a book that it's been called A Modern Guide to the Good Life. But I have to be honest, when I first saw the title, I was a little skeptical. It's called The Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
Skeptical, let me guess. The word almanac sounds a bit, I don't know, like something from the 1700s.
That and just the hype. I mean, if you're on Twitter or in the tech world at all, people talk about Naval Ravikant like he's this mythical figure.
Oh, yeah, the Yoda of Silicon Valley.
Right. And I usually get suspicious when anyone's put on that kind of pedestal, but then I actually open the book.
And the skepticism just melted away.
It really did, because this isn't your typical, hustle culture, wake up at 4 a.m. kind of book. It feels more like philosophy.
Philosophy disguised as strategy. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Naval is a huge name in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Founder of AngelList, early investor in giants like Uber and Twitter. So the guy has, he's won the game. But what's so interesting and what makes this deep dive different is that he didn't actually write this book.
Right. It's a compilation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He famously says he doesn't have the patience to write a whole book. So this guy, Eric Jorgensen, took on this massive project. He basically curated years of Naval's tweets, his podcast interviews, his essays.
And just stitched them all together.
Stitched them into this almanac. It's the greatest hits of Naval's brain, all organized into a single guide.
And the structure is so simple, it's almost arrogant. It's just part 1, wealth, part 2, happiness.
It is bold, like, here you go, here's how to get rich and here's how to be happy.
But the core premise is even bolder, I think. He basically argues that getting rich isn't about luck, and that being happy, that's not some genetic trait you're born with.
He treats them like engineering problems. They're skills you can learn and practice.
Okay, so let's test that theory. Let's start with the engineering problem of wealth. Because right out of the gate, he makes you redefine your terms.
He draws this really hard line between wealth, money, and status.
Which I think for most of us, we use those words interchangeably.
We do, and he says that's a huge mistake. They're totally different games. So, money. Money is just how we transfer wealth.
Yeah.
It's the IOUs, the credits.
And status is just your rank in the pecking order.
Exactly, your rank in the social hierarchy.
Yeah.
And he despises status games.
Right.
Because they're zero-sum. For me to move up in status, someone else has to move down. It just creates envy, conflict.
Well, wealth is different.
Wealth is positive sum. And his definition is everything here. Wealth is assets that earn while you sleep.
This is the book that just hits you in the gut. Wealth is not a big salary.
No, not at all. Wealth is the factory, the code that's running, the investment portfolio. It's a machine that works for you whether you're awake or not.
So if you stop working and the money stops, you don't have wealth.
You have a job. And that leads to his most aggressive point, the one that makes you want to just walk out of the office.
You will not get rich renting out your time.
It's just harsh math, isn't it? Your time is finite. There are only 24 hours in a day. You could be a top lawyer charging, I don't know, $2,000 an hour.
Your income is still capped. You can't scale yourself.
You're still just trading time for money. The only way to break free is to decouple your inputs from your outputs. You have to own equity.
A piece of a business.
A piece of a business. Whether you start it or invest in it, that's the only way your financial upside isn't tied directly to the hours you put in.
Okay, but I can hear people screaming right now because I was thinking it too. Great, but how? I can't just demand equity from my boss or quit my job to buy a factory.
Of course not. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
But he lays out a path, and it all starts with what he calls specific knowledge.
Yeah, when I first read that term, specific knowledge, I thought he meant like getting a PhD or learning some super obscure skill.
It's almost the opposite. Specific knowledge is the stuff you can't be trained for in a classroom.
What does that mean?
Well, his point is, if society can train you for it, society can train someone else to replace you. If you can get a degree in it, you are essentially a commodity.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is. So what makes you valuable isn't the degree, it's the stuff that makes you you. Your genuine curiosity, your unique talents. It's the stuff that feels like play to you, but looks like work to everybody else.
Feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. I love that line. Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about when you were a kid. What were you obsessed with? Maybe you loved organizing things, or you were fascinated by why people click on certain things online.
So it's not just I can code.
Exactly. I know how to code in Java as a commodity, but I'm obsessed with the psychology of viral apps, and I can code them because I've been studying human behavior for fun since I was 10. That's specific knowledge.
It comes from obsession, not a career guide.
You're doubling down on your own unique weirdness. Naval says no one can compete with you on being you,
Mm.
and that's your starting point.
Okay, so step 1, find that thing that feels like play. Step 2 is, this is where it gets mechanical, leverage.
Leverage is the force multiplier. Archimedes,
Give me a lever long enough.
and I'll move the world. Exactly. And in business, it's what lets your specific knowledge have this massive impact without you putting in massive effort.
He breaks it into 3 types. The old ones are labor and capital.
Right. Labor is just people working for you. It's the oldest kind of leverage. But Naval actually warns against it.
Why is that?
People are complicated. Managing people is messy. It's high friction. Then you have capital money, making money. That was king in the 20th century.
But you need permission for both of those, right? You need to hire people or get a loan.
Precisely. Which brings us to the third type, the one that's a total game changer today. He calls it the new leverage.
Code and media.
This is the holy grail. He calls it permissionless leverage. You don't need anyone's permission to write a blog, record a podcast, or build an app. The gatekeepers are gone.
And the economics are just completely different.
Fundamentally, this is the idea of zero marginal cost of replication.
Okay, that sounds really academic. Put it in simple terms.
Imagine you bake cakes. To sell 1,000 cakes, you have to bake 1,000 cakes. More flour, more sugar, more time. Your cost goes up with every single one.
Makes sense.
But if you write one piece of software, it costs you the exact same to let one person use it as it does to let 10 million people use it.
The code doesn't get tired.
The code doesn't get tired. He calls it your army of robots. They work for you 24/7. They don't complain, and they replicate for free.
Yeah.
If you can't code, you create media. This.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now is deploying our army of robots.
That's a wild thought. Okay, so the formula is taking shape. Find your specific knowledge, apply permissionless leverage, but there's a catch. You have to own it.
You have to own the output. And to do that, you need accountability.
And this is where people get scared, right? In a big company, you're taught to blend in. Be part of the committee, so if something fails, the blame is spread out.
It's exactly. Bureaucracy is designed to diffuse blame. But Naval's argument is if you want the massive rewards, the equity, you have to take on the massive risk. You have to put your name on it and say, this is me. If it fails, it's on me.
Skin in the game.
That's it. Society rewards that accountability with leverage and equity. If you hide in the herd, you get safety, but you'll never get rich. You'll just get a salary.
So we have specific knowledge, leverage, accountability. But there's one more piece, a safeguard, really. Because if you have a ton of leverage, you better be making good decisions.
Right, because leverage magnifies everything. A bad decision with no leverage costs you $10. A bad decision with huge leverage can tank the whole company. That's why judgment is so important.
And he defines judgment as making good decisions with incomplete information. But can you? Can you learn that?
You can, but not from watching the news. He's so adamant about this. The news is just noise. It's temporary. To build real judgment, you have to study the foundations.
So less breaking news, more. Microeconomics.
Precisely. Study microeconomics, game theory, philosophy, math. These are the underlying rules of the game. If you understand the principles, you can navigate any new situation that comes up.
It's that idea of reading things that have been around for 50 years because they'll probably be relevant for 50 more.
That's exactly it.
Okay, let's pause here because we've just laid out this pretty incredible framework for building wealth. And if the book stopped right there, it'd still be a bestseller.
Oh, absolutely.
But it doesn't. It pivots hard. And honestly, it felt a little jarring. We spend all this time learning how to accumulate assets, and then Naval basically says, by the way, none of this is going to make you happy.
Feels like a total contradiction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's really the second half of the equation. Wealth is a tool to solve your money problems.
But once those are solved,
You're left with all your other problems.
Mhm.
And money can't fix the internal stuff. It just buys you freedom of time and place. It doesn't silence the noise in your head.
And that's where part 2, happiness, comes in. His definition isn't what you'd think, though. It's not joy or excitement.
No, those are just temporary highs. For him, happiness is peace. It's your default state when you remove the feeling that something is missing in your life.
It's a very Buddhist idea, right? That suffering comes from always wanting to be somewhere else.
Completely. There's a quote in this section that it floored me. I'm sure you remember it.
Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
Ugh. It's brutal, isn't it?
It's devastatingly true. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when I buy the house.
You are literally programming your brain to be unhappy now. You're postponing your own peace for some future event. And even if you get it, the happiness lasts, what, a day? A week? Then you just pick a new desire.
But hang on, let me push back on that. If I drop all my desires, don't I just become a blob? Why would I ever build a business or go to the gym if I'm perfectly content?
That's the key question, and he has a great answer. He says you can still have preferences. You could prefer to be healthy. You could prefer to succeed. You play the game, and you play it hard.
But you don't tie your internal peace to the outcome.
Exactly. You play the game because you love playing the game, not because you need to win to feel whole. If the startup fails, it fails. You're still okay. Your happiness was never in the startup to begin with.
That sounds incredibly enlightened, but my brain does not work that way. My brain is always chattering, worrying, replaying things. He calls it the monkey mind.
The monkey mind is the enemy, that constant internal narrator. He says we're not actually living in reality, we're living in our thoughts about reality.
So how do you shut it off? He talks about meditation, but that word is so loaded.
He strips all the mysticism away from it. He calls it intermittent fasting for the mind.
I love that. Like giving your brain a break from constant input, just like you give your gut a break from food.
That's the idea. He suggests just sitting alone with your eyes closed for an hour. No phone, no music, just sit.
An hour? That sounds like torture.
He says it is torture at first. Your brain just throws everything at you, every worry, every regret. But that's just your mind clearing its inbox. If you stick with it, eventually it gets quiet.
And you find that presence he's always talking about.
Which is everything. Because the past is a memory, the future is a fantasy. The only time you're actually alive is right now. And if you're constantly living in the future, even a wealthy one, you're missing your entire life.
It's interesting how that all connects back to the wealth section. He says he earned his money to buy his freedom.
That's the link.
Yeah.
Wealth solves the external problems so you have the time and space to solve the internal ones. You can be the richest person on a private island, but if your monkey mind is screaming, you're still in hell.
He also touches on a few other pillars, right? We have wealth and happiness, but he brings up health and reading too.
Health is number one.
Yeah.
He says, a healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man only wants one. It's so obvious, but we trade it away for wealth all the time.
And his approach to reading, it made me feel so much better about my own habits.
Read what you love until you love to read. He treats books like blog posts. If a chapter is boring, skip it. If the whole book isn't grabbing you, just drop it.
It's so liberating. I always feel so guilty for not finishing a book.
You shouldn't. But, and this is the important part, when he finds a truly great book, a foundational text, he reads it over and over and over.
He'd rather read the best 100 books a dozen times than read 1,000 books once.
Because deep knowledge always beats shallow knowledge.
One last thing we haven't touched on is relationships. He applies his long-term games idea to people too.
Play long-term games with long-term people. It's maybe the most practical rule in the whole book. You can't build anything meaningful if you're always switching partners, friends, or cities. Compounding requires time.
And he's ruthless about cutting out unethical people.
Immediately. Because he says if they're willing to screw over someone else, they'll eventually screw over you. High-integrity relationships are the only ones worth compounding.
So if we just zoom out and look at the whole almanac, the roadmap is pretty clear.
It is.
It starts with finding your unique obsession, your specific knowledge. Then you apply leverage with code or media. You take accountability to own the upside.
And that's how you build wealth?
Then you use that wealth to buy back your time. And you use that free time to train your mind to be present, to stop craving, and to just be at peace.
And that's how you find happiness?
He has this definition of retirement that I think just wraps it all up, and it has nothing to do with being 65.
No, not at all. He says you're retired when you stop sacrificing today for an imaginary tomorrow.
When today is complete in and of itself.
You're retired.
Which brings me to the final thought I want to leave everyone with. It's this idea of work as play.
The ultimate hack.
If you really do find your specific knowledge, that thing that feels like play to you, and you build leverage around it, does the concept of work even exist for you anymore?
That's the goal, isn't it? If you enjoy the process more than the result, if the so-called work is actually your favorite part of the day, haven't you already won before the money even arrives?
I think that's the secret, to blur that line between work and play until you just can't see it anymore.
That is the definition of a life well lived.
A huge thank you to Eric Jorgensen for putting this all together in the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, and of course to Naval himself. It's an incredibly dense source, and we've really only scratched the surface.
Absolutely. You really have to pick it up. It's one of those books you'll keep coming back to.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Go find your leverage, and we'll see you in the next one.